Alrighty, the audio looks good, sounds good. Alright, I think we are good to go. Alright, we're gonna go clean a roller coaster apparently. This is our next job. I think we have to do the whole coaster, yep. Certainly looks like it. Where to start? Start with this chair. This umbrella. Clean off all this stuff. So I probably need to clean off this side. Alright, that's the deck chair frame. Is the deck chair itself not clean? Okay, clean umbrella. The pole. But how was Arc Raiders last night, Neon? Were you able to acquire any cool loot? I confess I watched that game, but I'm not quite sure what how the loot works in that game. I'm not a connoisseur of how much of that loot is particularly good. The only extraction outside of the Division, the only extraction like base shooter I played was Tarkov, and that game was very largely based on what guns you were able to like walk away with, and eventually they added the quest systems and stuff, and it's like, you need these specific items and from these specific maps, and it's like, yep, that's not going to make everything very, very difficult and annoying to deal with. But I played Tarkov with some friends, and well, I played with a friend, and then they had friends that played, so friends of friends mostly. I guess that's a better way of putting it. And it was all right. It was all right. I don't know if it'd ever really be my cup of tea, but it's definitely somebody's, I guess. We'll finish cleaning that up in a little bit. Clean up here first. Roof rock small. Is that what that is? It's a rock? I think this game is loud. Hold on. Let me turn that game down just a little bit. Turn my volume up. Actually, hold on. Settings. Audio. Let's put the master volume at 50. We can turn it up this way. Let's do that. Okay. Maybe that's a little bit better. Hopefully I'm not being drowned out by the sound of deafening water blasts now. I'm guessing the side of this is also part of it. Yeah. Yeah, roof rock large, I get it. Okay. Hey, Void. Lunchtime. That's good. Leftover pizza. What kind of pizza? What kind of pizza? Yo, is it the pretzel pizza? Did you go to one of those pizzas again? Ah. I remember you mentioning it in I think Lee's chat that you wanted another one of those, and I couldn't remember if you actually got you one or not, so... Oh, it has a picture now? Great. Pretzel pizza has become emoted. Forever immortalized. The abomination itself. It's funny because, like, I don't think it's, like, that bad. It's just not really a thing that I like. But it's funny. One thing I've realized with, like, social media and, like, content creation is I think we play stuff up a lot. Like, it's something can't be, like, kind of bad or, like, kind of mediocre. It has to be, like, the absolute worst or the absolute best. And I think the problem is some people take that seriously, right? I think people think that like that's legitimately what is believed, not like it's a joke. And I feel like that's why there's such like this weird discourse on like the internet sometimes, is because people like legitimately think like, oh well, if you don't like a thing you must like absolutely despise it. It's like, no. Feels like what your favorite meal would. Yeah. Oh, jumped to the other side of this thing. Did not mean to do that. Mozzarella sticks and Little Caesar pizza, pretzel pizza. Hey, you know what? As long as you're eating something, sometimes that's all you can ask for. Sometimes something substantial. Sometimes it's hard to get that. You know. But I don't know. I keep seeing more and more people like arguing things on the internet, and I think people just have gotten to the point where it's like people forget that like the internet lacks nuance, and trying to have like any sort of conversation with nuance is just like doomed to fail on the internet at this point. Simply because just like people don't want to. I saw something the other day where someone posted something, and it's just like, yeah, people don't want to have conversations, man. There's a logical fallacy called reductio ad absurdum, which is basically where you reduce an argument to such a degree that it's absurd. But they do that because it's just like it's there to argue that, like, you know, it's the you know how back in the 90s they had that you know, about stealing movies, and it's like, you wouldn't steal a car, would you, or whatever, right? Like, you remember those things? It's that. It's a reductio ad absurdum. You know, they're trying to liken it to something that doesn't make sense. You don't like to keep your cat inside, you must hate the local wild. Yeah. Like, it's there's a lot of like that kind of like rhetoric online and stuff. And it's just like, people don't realize, like, when people come at you with that kind of stuff, it's a bad faith argument, right? Like, they're not looking to actually have discussions with you. They're just there to make people upset, right? Like, they're there to say what they want to say and then not listen. Which is, you know, sad, because, you know, we should be wanting to have conversations and learn to be better people, but arguments seem extreme, but they aren't. Making a point is comparing, putting out. Sounds extreme, but it is. Yeah. Well, I mean, you gotta remember, like, too, that in America specifically, like, we also have people who have very low like reading and literacy and comprehension and critical thinking skills, right? So like trying to get them to understand and comprehend deeper concepts is a battle all to itself. To think critically, people don't want to do that. They want the quick, easy answer over the this seems right. Let's just do that thing. Or this argument is easy to repeat. Wrong, maybe. Yeah, well, I mean that comes down to the whole people don't like changing, right? People, in order to accept that there's new information all the time and you're going to be wrong and it's okay to be wrong and learn new things, you have to accept change, and we know how people feel about change. People feel so strongly about being judged for moment. Oh, people are judged for being wrong. We've created a society where that's the case. That's the problem, though, right? Like, the reason why people feel so strongly about being wrong is because we've created a society where they are judged very strongly for being wrong. That's why a lot of students, if you look at a classroom, that's why there's so many students that might know the right answer to a question, but none of them answer, is because society punishes them extremely for answering incorrectly. You can be shunned out of social groups for being wrong. You can lose. I mean, you look at it like, I mean, we have the term canceling, right? For social constructs of the idea of like you can lose brand deals for being wrong, for saying the wrong thing, for talking to the wrong person, for posing wrong, for like knowing the wrong things, saying the wrong things, doing the wrong things. And wrong, of course, being in quotations there, because sometimes doing the right thing can be perceived as wrong to certain groups of individuals, especially ones that hold places of power. Right? Like, the second part of facts wrong, you stand by it. Deserve to be judged. Well, what I'm saying though, right, is what if they're not wrong, but they're still judged about it, right? What if they're correct and then they're shunned by groups, which is a very real thing that happens, right? Think of the any nerd trope, people that know too much and use that knowledge. Tend to be shunned by popular social groups because no one likes a know-it-all. I'm sure you've heard your phrase before, right? And it's time to cut your losses. Well, the problem is you can't, right? Like, you're forced. There's too many situations where you're forced into social groups, right? You have school, you have work, you have any like social gathering that you're required to be a part of has that. So you still have to deal with societal norms whether you like to or not, right? The problem isn't whether the person wants to deal with them or not. The problem is we've built a society where they can't exist without dealing with them, right? The problem is structural and not personal. We've created the problem. It's a systemic problem, not a or a social or not a personal problem. So, because again, you have to do a job where you socialize with people. In most cases, some people do work, jobs where they don't have to socialize with people, but in most cases, you have to work a job where you work with a team, and that team's going to have you work with people who will judge you for being different, thinking different, acting different, knowing too much, knowing too little, right? Like that is just unfortunately going to happen, and it is not your choice to do that. Now, of course, if they start breaking like company rules, you could in theory go to some sort of like HR department and deal with that. But if it's not breaking company rules and they just make you a social pariah because they have some sort of social power over that, there's not really anything you can do about that, right? You just become a social pariah. Simply for, knowing too much. I control so much. Yeah, I mean, again, but that's what I'm saying, right? Like, there is we've created a system of problems that unfortunately don't allow us to just kind of live our life, right? Like, you hear that advice a lot, and unfortunately, it's not as simple as that because of the forced social structures we've created. But that's why, honestly, that's why community is important. Because you can, when you're put in those situations, you can use community outside of those situations to alleviate the feelings of isolation created by, those social groups and constructs. It's not, a perfect solution, mind you. We again should not have this systemic issue of being shunned for knowing too much, but you're not forced to associate with people that don't align with values. Yeah, well, unfortunately, not all of us get that pleasure. So, can I get around this? I can. Okay, well then we should start this side. But But no, people should, should be willing to understand and welcome change, as it is a normal part of the human experience. But again, we have built a society that does not require them to do so. And by doing that, we've also allowed them some semblance of comfort in not doing so. And they use that comfort to then accommodate bad ideals that create situations where it creates echo chambers for those ideals, and thus more and more people become comfortable in not changing. That is why I have talked about numerous times about why complacency is dangerous. And unfortunately, people don't understand that concept. Because they confuse complacency and kindness. They think allowing people to think in uncritical and harmful ways is a kindness, when it's in fact complacency. And causes more harm. But oop. Well, that was a fun fall. Oh, didn't expect to bounce like that. That was really weird. Okay, I think I'm gonna move this thing like right up to the front of this. Okay. Sheila Laters. Oh, like, see you later. Nice. It's like, what? It's a interesting name for a roller coaster. Because it's see you later, alligator. Get it? Oh, it actually says alligator. So it's Sheila Later's alligator. There you go. It actually says that we're cleaning off the alligator point. Reminds me of King Gator from All Dogs Go to Heaven. And I have not seen that movie in a very long time. Was it the first movie or the second movie that had like the hell sequence? I don't. You remember that? There's like one of the movies that has like a sequence where they're like literally in hell. I swear, like 90s 2000 cartoons were out to traumatize kids. They're like, yeah, kids will be fine. I think that was the 80s. Really? All Dogs Go to Heaven was the 80s? I could have swore it was like a 90s movie. It wouldn't surprise me if it was an 80s movie. A lot of the 80s, like, thunk into the 90s, so... I think every previous decade kind of does that to some degree, right? 80... Oh, it was right on the turn of the decade, that makes sense. Yeah. Finish cleaning off this nest and this... He goes to talking in this case. Yeah, like that. It's been a long time since I've seen that movie, so roof bridge. I'm just trying to make sure we get everything we can on the roof area. Alright. Deck chair seat, that's what I thought. Waterfall. Anything else around 90? Yeah, I was like, it said we got the frame, but it didn't say we got the seat. Ah, that would be why right there. There we go. Very saying goodbye was super emotional because I think that was already. Ah, yeah. Told you. The movie's meant to mess you up, even unintentionally, so. Somebody can run his final lines. I didn't know she was murdered. Jeez. That makes it even worse. Didn't know that the... Man. Super grim, yeah. Hey, Gloom and Boom, thank you for the lurk. I do appreciate it. You're already following the Gloom and Bloom, make sure you go follow them. Sure. I just gotta double check, make sure I'm following. Yeah, I'm following. But yeah, another member of the Grip Stream team. So make sure you go give them a follow. Try to make sure I'm following everybody of the stream team, but sometimes Twitch does that thing where it's like, yeah, you're following, and then like unfollows like a month later. It's very strange. I have yet to figure out why it's done that, but over the past 5 years, I've had it where I'll follow somebody on mobile, and then I'll come back on PC, and it won't follow. So I've been trying to make sure whenever I see someone's name on PC, I double check to make sure I'm following. I don't know if it's just like a server side thing, like it's like, oh, you followed on mobile, but once you get on PC, it's like, oh, time to reread where you are or something, and it just like decides not to do it anymore, or what. But yeah, I've had problems with that multiple times. I don't know why it happens, but it does on occasion, so I try to double check whenever I see someone's name. Roof ledge. Should also duck inland before time. Ah. That's crazy. That is unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. Shadows are laced with tragedy. Yeah. Yeah, they are. They really are. Oh, did you see the Disney post thing? Where Disney posted, oh, post your favorite line from Disney movies. Did you see that whole controversy? Or I guess it was more of a kerfuffle, but that was rather entertaining. I'm like, Disney, what did you think was gonna happen here? Like, let's be honest. You have multiple movies about heroes fighting injustice, and you didn't think that this was gonna lead to anything, huh? And yeah, they had to take that post down rather quickly, it seems. I wonder why. Couldn't venture a guess. It's so funny, too, because it's just like, anybody with, like, any social media experience would have looked at it and going, nah, this is not a good idea right now. But that was obviously done by, like, some, like, corporate entity, right? Like, that is definitely someone who had, like, zero social media experience. or if they had social media experience, that was definitely done under like pressure from someone above. Because there's no way someone with social media experience goes, yeah, let's pick your favorite Disney quote and post it here on social media. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That'll turn out great. We've never, made any movies that could post about, I don't know, injustice, turmoil, people being treated terribly. Oh, man. There were some good ones in there, though, I'll be honest. I love that, like, there definitely could have been some, like, repetitiveness, but there were some people taking, like, all sorts of really, like, deep like some of them were like the ones you would expect, and then some of them were like, nah, we're going deep for some of these. I respect that. Oh yeah, no, I love Hunchback of Notre Dame. Yeah, that's those are the ones that I was like, yep, this is where I expected this to go. That is one of my favorite Disney films. There might be some reason for that, but there might be a lot of reasons for that, actually. One that looks... Yeah. Hold on. Where is our... Meet that thing. Oh boy. Ugh. What does this sign say? He must be this tall to ride the alligator. Nice. Hey, Shiny. How you doing today? That is not... Good done with DT. How are you? I'm all right. At least as all right as I can be. We are here and we are doing it. Right now we are washing a roller coaster, so. Can we ride it? I do not think so, unfortunately. We can start it. Yes. Yes, we can. We can indeed ride it. There you go. In the rope. Yeah, how was D&D? What character are you playing? Also, what edition are you playing? I'm guessing 5th edition, right? What most folks are playing now. Also, by the way, if you're not following Shiny Death Pony, make sure you go give them a follow. Playing some Coral Island, which I believe is a nice little cozy game. I've not checked out Coral Island. I think next cozy game we might check out after Animal Crossing is Fields of Mystery. I think they've finally done a 1.0, or they're going to be doing 1.0 very, very soon. So, definitely need to get back to that one. Favorite guy has been hunting down for killed a beholder. Well, that's not an easy task to accomplish. Congratulations. Beholders are known to be rather nasty creatures. But Dice got smiled on you today? Indeed. This is probably the most chaotic cleaning I've done to date. I am not following any sort of pattern. I'm just like, this looks like it needs to be cleaned, and I'm just cleaning it that way, dude. This is pure chaos, dude. My brain is elsewhere. Well, usually I follow a pattern. Usually I'm like, okay, top, clean that area. And then I'm like, this area, done. This area, done. This area, done. Like, I do it, like, in pieces. Today, I just... My brain is elsewhere. My brain is elsewhere. So... It's just... Okay, did we get this rock? We did. Tried Grime, it's hard, but it's fun. I played it when I streamed after dying a night. Yeah, I don't think, Void is, ever going back to Blasphemous. I am sorry to report. I might have recommended one of the hardest games Void's ever played. No, I'm kidding. Like, I love Blasphemous, but it is a very difficult game. The second game is easier, and honestly has a lot of like really good quality of life stuff. But those games are difficult. I think it's interesting to watch. Have you seen Souls games, Void? That is like 90% of the gameplay. There are people that literally spend whole weeks on single bosses. Like, that's literally the whole Souls formula. You're fine. Like, if you don't want to stream that, that's fine. But I would not, like, if you think people do not want to watch you play a game, then you're wrong. But if you don't want to stream you dying 100 million times, yeah, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you don't want to stream it, that's fine. But like, don't think people don't want to watch it. Oh, we do something cozy on Tuesdays, yeah. Yeah, do what you want. Like, I'm not saying like stream Blasphemous, but yeah, no, don't. People will watch whatever, man. Like, it is people are there for you, not necessarily the the game you're playing. Now, some people are there for the game, but be better when I'm not thinking about it. I'm trying to, or knowing me I'm being watched. That's fair. There is the I'm being observed. I must improve. Otherwise, this is going to make me feel worse. Problem that does come with streaming. I have also ran into that where I know that I'm getting more frustrated, so I need to, like, it's like I have to improve. There, otherwise I'm going to start feeling bad. So, like, that I understand. that being observed thing definitely comes into play. But But no, I really do love Blasphemous. But they are not by any stretch of the imagination easy games to play. Like I said, the second game is definitely easier, except the DLC boss. I will stand by that till the day I die. The DLC boss for Blasphemous 2 is one of the hardest bosses in Blasphemous. When I watched a hint playthrough and that guy has no health items left over to beat the boss, I know that boss is hard. Jesus Christ. Like, I was like, okay, I'm struggling. I need to see if someone else has a plan for this boss. And when I literally looked up, like how someone else beat the boss, and they didn't have any health items left over at the end of the boss. I'm like, okay, so this guy is definitely difficult. If the walkthrough has no healing items, yeah, no, screw that. Like, I know I'm not the best at games, but I ain't that bad. Like, cut me a break, man. When I go back to Blasphemous, I'll die a million times with the first enemy until I learn how to play again. Then I'm pretty... Yeah. Yeah. Now let's power wash electricity. This totally won't end terribly or anything. This is how power washing works, right? You can just power wash anything you want. No repercussions. But yeah, it's don't power wash electronics. Apparently I need to. Apparently that's the play. Just deep clean your electronics with a power washer. Apparently that gets everything up and running. Gives them that real shine. What the hell? Looking at the games I have on Steam, I'm gonna believe he should play Ice Age Nice Adventures tonight. Isn't he gonna do Zelda tonight? I thought he was getting back to the rotation of games. Didn't he mention that last night, or am I going insane? I'm probably going insane. Just ignore me. Well, I remember at the beginning of his stream, he mentioned that, like, he was getting into Ark, but, like, he was also mentioning that he wanted to kind of get back to stuff. He did say it was really... I mean, I'm more than slightly crazy. I can verify with papers that I'm more than slightly crazy. Okay. So I think we've gotten... I'm starting to get back into a... Okay, what are we cleaning? I think we're going to clean this entire... Like, this thing, and then focus on the actual roller coaster part. So I think we're getting a groove here finally, now that I figured out where my brain has gone. Out the window. The answer's out the window. That is where my brain has gone. If you're wondering. I should probably do it from this side so that way I can get bigger swaths of dirt. But Trying to make sure we get the dirt that's over here. There we go. But yeah, I don't know. I remember him mentioning something about that. Coming back to the window, at least use the door. Just careful. Oh no, it's not coming back. It is not coming back. I'll just requisition a new one, like I always do. Okay. Floor complete. Okay. Alright, let me get these walls here. Comes back, I gotta give it a bath because where'd you go and why is it so sticky? Oh yeah, nah, like I said, mine never comes back. I just get a new one. It comes with an update. Tells me about all the terrible things. I have an existential crisis and then I move on. This bottom. Just a weird inner tube, fake inner tube here. Interesting thing to have. Yeah. Do the same thing on this side. Sheila. Oh yeah, no, it's actually a whole joke. So let me show you. So Sheila Later is the name of the person, and the roller coaster is Alligator. So it's Sheila Later Alligator. That's the roller coaster. It's the whole joke. Yeah. They ran with that thing. Do I have another ladder? I do. Actually, this would be perfect, because then I can do this. I was like, I need something to be able to get these, like, ledges. Because you can't see the ledges from the ground, but you can see them from the waterfall. Back to work? Alright. Have a good day at work. Okay. Guess there's probably something in that alcove there. Just gotta get this outside edifice here. We're almost done with the, like, area inside for the roller coaster. And then we'll work on the outside of it. Might as well get the alligator's little smiley face while we're out here. Okay, we can go down here now. Go. So do you play D&D every week, Shiny, or is it just like a 2 times a month kind of thing, or how often do you play D&D? Yeah, I've asked you this before, but I don't remember the answer because, as I have stated, my brain is not with me in this moment. Every Monday unless someone's busy. Okay, I think I remember that because you play with cloud cover, right? Or you used to? Yes, okay. That I do remember. That I do remember, because I think they like rated. If I was the DM, you play with 2 other streamers. Do you play with Totes, or does Totes not do Dungeons and Dragons? Totes, okay. Small Town Sophie. Oh. I don't know if I know Small Town Sophie. You say they stream as well? Interesting. I don't think I've ever met them before. I'll have to go give them a follow so I can check out their content. It's over here. I do, but not often there. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that's cool. Yeah, I'm supposed to be part of a weekly tabletop group. We do things other than D&D, but unfortunately, my mental health is starting to limit my ability to do things like that. I mean, my physical health isn't helping much either, but okay, we'll focus on the roof first, and then we'll get the roller coaster and back wall. But yeah, so I try my best with the group. Motivation to do things, even if it's things you enjoy. It's less the motivation and more like when I do social things, it's kind of hard to explain. So part of the way that I do social things as someone who's autistic is I have to the term, even though it doesn't really have like it's never really been defined as such, is there's a thing that they say that autistic people do called masking, right? Even though when I talked to the person who did my test and asked them about that, they're like, yeah, it's more just of a social media term for it, even though that's not really the psychiatric term for it. And when I do tabletops, I'm essentially masking while masking, right? So when you do role playing games, right, you play a character, which you know. So when I'm playing a character, but also like playing, masking for the sake of socialing, it's like playing a character while masking. It's a lot. Social battery wise is a lot. So it's very draining, and it's nothing against like the people that I play with or anything like that. It's just sometimes I just don't really feel like dealing with it consistently. And on top of that, like my brain does this thing where if I don't feel like I am getting, and I know this is a really weird, again, an autistic thing. If I don't feel like I'm getting like the value out of my time, my brain goes, I should be spending my time somewhere else, right? So if I'm going to the movies, right, and the movie is 2 hours long, and I get done with the movie, and I'm like, that movie was not worth the 2 hours I spent watching that movie. My brain will not like that movie because it feels like I've wasted 2 hours watching said movie, right? And it does that with everything, which is not a great way to do life, essentially. And unfortunately, it does that with tabletops as well. So there's times where I'm like, the 3 to 4 hour investment for a tabletop, it just doesn't feel like it's worth it because I'm not having that that 3 to 4 hours of enjoyment that I could be doing something else, whether that's a productive thing or a enjoyment thing. And again, it's nothing against like the people I'm with or what, the thing I'm doing. The thing I'm doing can still be fun, but it's not necessarily 3 to 4 hours of fun, right? If that makes sense. And that's kind of the conundrum. And explaining that, people might take it personally or something, and it's like, it's not meant to be personal, it's not meant to be offensive or anything like that. It is just how I think, unfortunately. And you no matter how many times you tell someone that, it still comes across as some sort of offense. Okay, so the reason why we need to move this is so that way we can clean the rail underneath it. So, and I'm trying to do my best about communicating all of those things that I've said. Like, hey, this is not. There's nothing against whoever's doing what thing. There's nothing about the person or the thing being done. It's just my brain is like, nah, not today. This is not the thing. I'm no longer interested. Whatever, right? Like, there's just 1.5 million reasons why this just ain't it, bro. So. So that's part of the mental struggle, and as I mentioned earlier in the stream, with everything else going on, there's a lot of a lot of other struggles going on. So Team is the only one without autism in our group, so we like to. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, we have in our group now three individuals, so it's just we all have different I don't know, I guess approaches or different, because spectrum, they all manifest in different ways, and mine is also heavily trauma informed. Like, when I got my diagnosis, and I think I've talked about this on stream before, when I got my autism diagnosis a few years back, the psychiatrist that gave me the diagnosis was like, yeah, you definitely have this diagnosis, but if I was giving you treatment, we would definitely be talking about the trauma first. That's what she told me to my face. So if if you want to know how bad the PTSD in relation to everything else is, that is about as good an explanation as I can give. So, and I don't mind talking about that stuff. Not obviously not specifics, but that's that should tell you just how trauma informed that stuff is. So. For her to say, yes, you could use some counseling for autism, but like let's deal with this PTSD first. That should tell you how bad the PTSD is. All right, so I think we got everything else in here. Obviously, we haven't got the rail underneath the thing, but we'll have to get the rail after we move it. There's fire over here, but the house is going. Yeah, no, it's one of those things. It's one of those things. But I mean, I've talked about it before. The reason why I talk about my mental health and the autism and stuff like that is not for any sort of like sympathy or pity or anything like that. I do that because I believe in an open communication is important, because it allows other people to feel comfortable about discussing those topics. And we play a lot of horror games, and there's a lot of horror that has discussion about mental health and stuff like that. And we can't have open discussions about that stuff if I myself am not open about discussing some of those topics. Like I said, I don't get into specifics because, you know, that is unnecessary for us having those discussions. The specifics of my trauma do not require me to have conversations about trauma, but we can have those conversations because, you know, I am very open that I have it, right? Or I have experienced it, I guess is a better way of putting it. You can't oh, it is not property to be owned. You cannot possess it. It is something that occurs. It is a moment in time, or multiple moments in time. In my case, but yeah. So that is the reason why I bring that up. By the way, before anybody's like, oh, this is messed up or this is dark. The reason why we talk about that is because it is important to discuss mental health, especially with the content that we create. I know we're not playing a horror game right now, but, you know, we do very often. You know, last year 80% of our content was horror. This year it's probably going to be around that percentage as well. So, you know, if we're going to play things with that topic, discuss things with that topic, then it would be hypocritical of me to not also be open with the topic that I myself have experienced, or, you know, discussed with people their experiences of those topics. Alright. Alright, coaster is done. So let's send the crocodile on a ride so that way we can get the roller coaster part itself. Alright, so now this is done. I'm just gonna clean that a little bit, and then clean this a little bit. We just want to clean it just enough that it, so the roller coaster isn't blocking it anymore. But, okay. I think we're good. I think we're good on that. Alright, so I think we've gotten all of this. Let's double check. Oh, nope, we're missing some stuff here. We're supposed to be a reflection of real fears and how we overcome them stuff. Don't have the brain power to be smart. My point. Well, the thing is with horror, tends to approach topics that make you uncomfortable because you're already uncomfortable, right? You're already dealing with things that are scaring you, right? So it's going to approach uncomfortable topics because you're uncomfortable. Also, there is one of my favorite quotes about art is art should comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable. And I believe horror media does just that. Right? I think that's kind of where horror media lies, right? It comforts the disturbed and disturbs the comfortable, at least in some cases. Sometimes it just scares people, right? Like sometimes it's just there to give you a fright. Okay. Alright. We go ahead and do the rail next. I think we'll do the rail. We'll do all of these attractions. We'll do the outer wall, and then we'll do the ground last. So let's do that. Always have deep conversations here. Well, I mean, that again, that's part of the reason why I love horror games. Now, of course, we're not playing one right now, but that's why I love horror games, is because it allows us to have those kinds of conversations. But I mean, I appreciate that. That's the crime is horror. I mean, it can be. That like there are people to where this kind of situation here, like especially like cleaning this, would be like the worst thing they could ever imagine. Like sanitation jobs and stuff. There are people that are horrified by the concept of that. And I can see why, right? Like there are like pollutants and, you know, diseases and stuff like that. Like it is doing sanitation work, any sort of sanitation, whether that's like in sewers or cleaning or janitorial jobs, whatever it might be. Like those jobs can be genuinely very, very scary, because you're cleaning up all kinds of refuse, right? You're seeing some of, you know, a lot of what mankind leaves behind, right? And that is, it's horrifying. Like there are things in the sewers, it's called fatbergs. If you've not seen them, they are genuinely kind of horrific. But what they are is when people wash things with like grease and stuff down the drain, and they genuinely build up over time as well, because of like lipids in the system and stuff. They create giant walls of fat, and they will legitimately block sewers. So they have to, in cities from time to time, go down there and break these like giant gelatinous walls of fat, right? And it's just symptomatic of like how society's, you know, refuse system worked. And you know, it's kind of scary, but people don't know about that stuff, right? Like it's the things you don't know about, if you don't work those kinds of jobs. That's why, like, one of the things, and this is less about horror and just more about society, which we've been talking about while doing this. that's one of the things that always irritates me when people talk poorly about like sanitation workers. Is just like you don't understand the kinds of things that like sanitation workers have to do every day, the kinds of things they have to pick up, and the the refuse that's left behind by people, you know, and like it's not an easy job. You're out there in all kinds of weather. You're picking up and cleaning up all sorts of things. People have no respect for not only the environment but your job as a whole. It's it's really awful. So sorry, I thought I heard my door open. But that's always so disappointing to me when I see people talk poorly about sanitation workers and stuff. Okay. Honestly, I don't know why people speak poorly about really any job, right? Like, well, I take that back. There, never mind. I was gonna make a joke there, but I'll leave it alone for now. Um, something political joke here, but there's so many jobs that people are like, oh, that this job, that job, whatever, man. But like you hear it like sanitation work or like fast food or all these jobs that people like insult, and it's just like, why? Um, like I will never understand. It's like people are just doing work, man. They shouldn't be degraded or insulted for just doing their job. Like, let people do their job and leave them be. And if their job bothers you that much, then maybe you shouldn't be interacting with them. Or if you think you can do their job better, then do it. Or find better ways for it to help them do their job better. Right? Like, instead of being insulting or rude, maybe help them out, make their life better, make their job easier. Yeah, Frequent played one that had a knocking sound that. Oh, yeah, customer service, retail jobs, those are another series of jobs that get insulted on a regular basis, which I've worked at a Domino's for a while, so I know a lot about the whole like, you messed up my order, and it's like, you told me this exact thing and I wrote it down. Didn't mess anything up, friend. You apparently didn't order what you wanted to order. Which is fine. We can fix that for you. Yes, I know I'm only getting one side. We're going to go back on the other side and get the other side. I'm just going to do this side and then come back around. People can't see your face. It's even worse. Yes, the mask of anonymity gives people all sorts of confidence. Although I will say, as of late, even without the anonymity, people are getting a whole lot of confidence. Dangerously so. But But yeah, I wish people would, instead of spending all their time, complaining about these jobs and workers and stuff that they don't like, and instead spend the time doing things to maybe help them, or funding things to make their jobs easier or more fluid, or things to make their lives better. Because like, if the worker is happier, if their lives are more secure, then whatever issue you have with them, you know, might resolve itself, right? Like, but instead of choosing, is there just a red balloon in a tree? Is this a It reference? I think this is an It reference. I just realized that there's a red balloon in a tree, and we're in a little festival ground. Anyways, sorry. I just saw that and I'm like, huh? Um, but like, people make people's lives harder instead of easier, even though one of these things would distinctly make their own lives easier, which is so confounding to me. It's like, make both of our lives easier or make both of our lives harder. Well, let me choose the thing that makes both of our lives harder. It's like, what? Why? People playing cashiers with. Oh yeah, since things have been moving to self checkout, and now they're upset that self checkout is taking over. It's like, well, I remember when there were cashiers all over the place. It's like, yeah, you complained about them, and then companies were like, oh, you don't want cashiers anymore? Okay, well, we don't have cashiers anymore. Yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? Like, people think they know what they want until you give it to them, and then they realize it's not what they want. Right? It's funny, I've actually talked about that. When people ask me, like, hey, I can't choose what I want to do, I tell people about the coin flip method. So it's funny, there's a psychological thing where you can flip a coin, right? So you have two choices. You have A and B. And you're like, I can't decide. So you flip a coin, and what happens is that when it say you don't know what you want to choose, and you pick A and B, you flip a coin and it picks A. But what happens is when that choice is taken away from you, your brain does a whole bunch of new things. And one of those things it can do is decide, now that it chose A, I really don't want A, right? And that is actually a thing that happens quite often. But it doesn't know it doesn't want A until A is chosen for it. And then it wants B, right? Now, sometimes when it chooses, there is legitimate, like, I could take either one, and it chose A, and I'm fine with that, right? But that's why I tell people to flip a coin when they can't decide, is because sometimes you can trigger that response realizing, oh, I actually really do want B, right? It's very, very helpful when you are very indecisive. So flip a coin. It can help you. But it goes along those lines of, people don't actually know what they want or don't want until they have or don't have it anymore. Right? And that's what ends up happening more often than not. They're like, oh, we don't want this thing. It's like, okay, well, you don't have this thing anymore. And they're like, wait. We want that thing. It's like, well, too bad, it's gone now. Right? Like, and it's sad. This is just like, well, this is how it is. Now, a given, some of the decisions were not the consumer's choice. Some of the decisions were corporate greed. Actually, a lot of decisions are corporate greed. But like, it's one of those things that um you see this in game development where players will be like, just give the players what they want. And some devs will be like, sure, we'll give the players what they want. And then they give it to them, and the players are like, oh, this sucks. And it's like, well, it's what you wanted. And then the players will blame the devs. And it's like, but it's what you wanted. And that's why sometimes, like, if you go back in early development, you're like I would say, like, when the internet and developers started to really, like, connect, you see that happen a lot. Where developers are like, oh, the fans really want this thing. They really, really want this thing. We should give it to them. We should give it to them. And then it, like, doesn't work out. And that's not to say that devs shouldn't listen to their fans. You should. There should be an open communication, but you should also be like, okay, no, this feature doesn't make sense. But yeah, it actually happens quite a bit where you realize that sometimes people will want something and it's actually just not good for the product or not good for the thing, or they don't actually want that thing. But they say they do. But they don't know they don't want it until they have it. So, but like I said, it's an interesting psychological thing. And it can lead to some very weird occurrences because of that. Alright, I think we're almost done with the roller coaster proper. And then we'll do the these little things around here. And then we'll do the floor, and then we should be done with the roller coaster. But it's funny. It's actually, it led me to it started asking people, like, people were like, hey, what do you want for, like, lunch or dinner or whatever? And whenever it's a group decision, I actually flip the question back. I'm like, okay, what do you not want? Right? And sometimes people look at me weird, and they're like, I'm like, what? I'm like, because sometimes it's better to eliminate the things that you don't want than it is to try to guess all the things that you do want, right? Because there's so many choices of, like, what you do want, but there's maybe not as many choices of what you don't want. So a lot of times, it's like, okay, well, I don't want this thing I had Tuesday, or I don't want this thing that, you know, made me sick a week ago, right? So a lot of times I'll ask that question, and it's so much more helpful than trying to figure out the 17 different things. I talked about this before on stream. There was a little video someone did where they had a tray. It had like 16 flavors of things on it, right? And they walked up to people and they're like, hey, choose one. And it took forever for people to pick one, right? And then they went to the same area, walked in with a tray of like 3 or 4 things. People were able to choose immediately. And the reason is because it was so much harder to choose when you had so many choices versus when you had 3 or 4, because there's that fear of choosing incorrectly. Like, what if I don't like this one? What if I don't like this one? What if I don't like this one? Right? But when there's only a few choices, it's like, well, who cares, right? There's only a few choices. Like, because the buy-in is so much smaller, right? And it's really funny that like that is it's something that like our brain does to us essentially that we just don't think about. Um, and it changes how once you realize those kinds of things, it can change how you interact, right? And that's why like a lot of times I tell people like, hey, you know, sit down with like how you choose things and think about the best way for you to interact with something, because like how someone else interacts with something is going to be different, and it might not work for you, because some people are very like instantly they can just pick a thing and move on, right? Like they don't have to think twice. They can just do a thing and it's done, right? But not everybody's like that. Some people need to like consciously put in the effort, and that takes time and effort and whatever, right? Fishing rod bobber. There we go. Fishing rod line. Um, and you know, if you're one of the people that has to think over the decision, make sure you communicate that with people. And people are like, oh, well, what if they judge me for that? And it's funny because like we were talking about that earlier about people judging people. Um, and it's funny because like I have a quote for that actually, and I've used this quote multiple times with people. Also, this says no fishing, and the crocodile's fishing, by the way, if you didn't catch that joke. Um, um, and the quote is it's actually a Dr. Seuss quote, and it says, "Those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind." And it's a very simple quote, and it can sound a little confusing, but the quote is basically about if people care about you taking your time to make decisions because you just need that extra time to think, or you need that extra time to like motivate yourself or whatever, then those people are not being helpful to your growth as a person, right? To who you are, because they're not accommodating the things you need to grow and to be your best self. But the people who do that, who do accommodate for those kinds of things, those are the people who matter. Those are who the people you should be spending your time and effort on. And it's such a simple quote, but it's very meaningful. So, and again, it sounds a little antagonistic. So some people will be like, why would you say that? You know, that sounds mean. You're excluding people." And it's like, well, sometimes people do not have your best interest in heart, right? They're around you for their own reasons, and sometimes you just have to put a distance between you, because that's the best thing you can do for both of you, honestly. Um, and I know that again, that does sound weird, but them not being there for you is also unhelpful to them, because that means they're spending effort to be unhelpful to both of you. So they need to be spending effort to be helpful, at least to themselves. So by putting that distance there, you're now allowing them space to be helpful to themselves at the very least. Even if it feels, like you're being selfish. You're asking for grace for yourself, which is allowing them to find grace for themselves as well. Is this sand floor now? Okay, this is separate. And it can be difficult. It can be difficult to break ties with people you've known for a while, or people that you thought you could count on, or whatever the situation might be. I will never sugarcoat that, but again, sometimes the most helpful thing you can do for your relationship with someone who isn't willing to accommodate you, or you don't feel like you can accommodate, if you're the person on the other side of that, is to put some distance there, at least until you feel like there can be a change, or you can move towards a better solution for that accommodation. Because we can all grow, we can all adapt, we can all become better people, but it's better to deal with that before it becomes a problem than to let it be a problem and then try to deal with it, which is unfortunately what a lot of people do. They let something become a problem and then try to deal with it, which unfortunately is not a great way to deal with anything. You should want to be proactive, not retroactive. It's the best way to make sure that you are protecting yourself and others. Because if you're being retroactive, you might have already have caused harm in some way. But if you're being proactive, you can avoid that, or at least attempt to avoid that. Does it have a lever on it or something? Why is this? Huh. Oh, it's a bucket. Okay, I was like, why does this look like this? This is the bucket that created the sandcastle. I was very confused. Say, where am I missing? log character body. Okay, I think that guy's done. Alright. Hydrogen stretch. Okay, so I think we have, basically we have this log, these two guys, the outside wall, and then the interior, and I think we're good. Oh, actually, we got this little sand trap. Let's get this first. I mean, technically we could have got this with the floor, but it's part of this character, so let's get this. But, yeah, it's a little bit left to go here. There we go. Fishing scene is now complete. Yeah, there we go. All right. Is this guy laying down? Oh, I think he's falling. Okay. It's like, what is this guy in the back doing? Other than being a little weird. Oh, is this all part of the sand nest? Hold on. Oh, I see. Okay, so there's like a small sand nest and then there's like a bigger sand. Okay. Okay, we'll get that after we do the... We'll do the log, we'll do this sand area, then we'll do the wall. So let's finish up the log scene here. You want to get going? What if you need to? Alright. Thank you, Shiny. Take care of yourself. Hopefully, if you stream today, I hope you have a good stream. Again, if you're not following Shiny, make sure you give Shiny a follow. Let me get you a shout out real quick. And some Coral Island. You check that one out. Man, I've not played a cozy game in so long. Animal Crossing has really made me like, I should play a cozy game again. Maybe we'll do... I don't know if I have any retro cozy games other than Animal Crossing, to be honest. So maybe we'll make our long-form games... Maybe we'll move our long-form games to the evening. You know what? I mean, that would defeat the purpose. Never mind. I was gonna say, maybe we make our long-form games a cozy game, but we need to move it to the evening, so... But it wouldn't... I don't know. Something you made yesterday was super good. I want more, but I hated making. Yeah. That's the fun of cooking, right? That's the fun of cooking, right? Is like, it's like, ah, this is delicious. I just don't want to cook it ever again. I have this weird thing. I know other people have this too, But I have this weird thing where, like, I don't tend to eat a lot of the stuff I cook. Not because it's bad, but because it's just... I tend to not be as hungry after I cook something. So... So a lot of times I'll just like I'll make something like, okay, here you go, everybody, enjoy. And then they're like, you're not eating, and I'm like, nah, I'm not hungry anymore. I don't know why that happens. So it always looks like suspicious. It's like, did you poison this? It's like, no, I didn't poison you. It's like, why would I poison you? What am I gonna do if I poisoned everybody? So it's probably on the top of the head. Log scene complete. First one to serve myself because it seems like no one else wants to be the first one. Yeah. Better than another person just start eating. You know, you say that I'm unsurprised. Saturn definitely strikes me as the person who like, food's ready, I'm in. Just go. just I knew I liked Saturn. I knew I liked Saturn for some reason. There's a reason she's our sub sound. Other than it's just funny. Hey, IX Crafts. How you doing? Thank you for doing your daily token. How you been? Or 9 Crafts. I think I asked you, and I think you said IX Crafts? Break time. Nice. 9 Crafts? Oh, okay. It is 9 Crafts. I don't remember if I asked you about that or not. Alright. Alright, so let's leave the floor. Let's do the walls. Can you get outside? You can get outside, okay. It looks like the outside of the walls is not going to be dirty, so... Nine crafts or 9 crafts? Okay, maybe the outside is gonna be... Oh, no, it's... Oh, it is gonna be dirty on the outside. Oh, you sneaky punks. How am I? I'm alright. I'm alright. Just cleaning some Rollercoaster. Do that right now. I'm dealing with a mild headache, something productive. Knitting. Nice. How long you been knitting for? Was it a new hobby, or you been doing it for a while? Been knitting for over 10 years. Nice. Do you do anything, like, specific, or like any specific type of knitting? Or do you just do whatever you're in the fancy mood for? Beanies, gloves, holiday stockings, drawstring bags, little octopi, slimes, ghosts. Nice. So do you have like a shop that you sell this stuff at, or do you just make them and give them out, or? You do sell them. Nice. Very cool. Okay. That's very, very cool. Maybe we should do the whole outside first and then come back in and do the inside. I think that's what we'll do. So we should probably do it like this. This seems like a much more productive way to clean this. Biggest fan is holiday stockings with how long they take. Really? Why is that? Is it just because of the shape of them, or because of the way the material works? Because I beanie with a holiday stocking. Beanie takes 70 rows, while holiday stocking takes 160. Interesting. But those are like, so stockings are still like harder than like the octopi and slimes and stuff. I figured those would be like the most difficult. Wow, really? So those don't take any time at all. That's crazy. Give me the balloon. Give me the balloon. Wait. Can I use the ladder to get the balloon? No? Can I use this ladder to get the balloon? Give me the balloon. I want the red balloon. There's a red balloon in the tree. Give me the balloon. Okay, I don't think we can get the balloon. Oh well. Can't say I didn't try. Yeah, I didn't know that they weren't that time consuming. I don't know anything about knitting, obviously. I don't really do a lot of manual like dexterity kind of crafts. Mainly because I have a problem where like because of my autism I tend to like press really hard on things. I have problems with like pressure based things. So like it's really hard for me um to do things without pushing really hard or like holding things really tight. Um, a lot of my artwork stuff is digital. I both did and taught at a college level 3D asset creation. So like everything you see in games, like assets, animations, game design stuff, all of that, I both create and taught. So um, that stuff I do, but like physical medium stuff, unfortunately, not something I could do. So a lot of respect for the for the people that have the dexterity to do that kind of stuff. That is not an easy craft. So, what got you into knitting? Is it just something you picked up, or did you like were you part of like a group of people that did it, or oh you were just cold and got into knitting? Interesting. Well, I know some people like they learn it through like family tradition, and some people like they start like they join like a crafts group, and they're like, hey, I'm doing this thing, and they join that, and then next thing they know they're working on a thing and muscular person. So things like, yeah, I understand that. Definitely understand that. I have definitely run into that on many occasions. So. Well, that's very cool. Very cool. So, what are you currently working on? Are you working on something like a commissioned something, or are you working on just another thing for the shop, or you're working on a commission? Nice. I learn to knit or crochet. Yeah, like I said, me and like manual things, I don't think I could do. I used to play guitar. Was the only like manual dexterity thing that I say I'd probably be able to do. I really wanted to learn saxophone, but unfortunately, both saving up and playing saxophone um, would be very time consuming and monetarily consuming. Can't draw or do. I don't believe that. Being someone who has taught art, I do believe everybody has the capacity for stuff. It's just you have to find where your ability lies and find the things that you enjoy. Need to make dinner? Alright. Raise hands. But no, I think you could genuinely do it. I think everybody has the propensity for it. I've mentioned it multiple times throughout my streaming career, but also in my classes, that I do think everybody has the propensity to make art. And even 3D art. It's just you have to figure out where what you want to make and what you enjoy making, and then start finding the resources to do that. Because there's a lot of like free resources out there. There's a lot of free programs, you know, a lot of helpful communities and stuff like that. There's actually a lot more free stuff out there now than there was when, you know, when we were younger, so it's very easy to get into a lot of stuff. Now, not every training is, you know, good, but it can be a start. Seeing the tool that Twin uses on our iPad as well. Yeah. There's some really cool stuff out there, man. Really cool stuff. Hold on, I need to check. Roof letter. Track casing. Okay, first there's roof letter. Huh. That probably is at like the top of it or something. Okay. Okay, now there's a track casing. Ah, this one. There we go. Alright, so now all we have left is the floor. But yeah, there's a lot of great tools out there that can get you started on a lot of things. Like I said, it's much much better than what we had access to, where it was just pages and pages and books that were like, hey, so here's how, you know, you play Mozart's symphony, and it's just like 15 pages of sheet music, and you're just supposed to figure it out. Now it's just like, hey, here's a video about where exactly to put your fingers, and then you do this, and then you do this. And then there's like 15 videos like that, because everybody's trying to, you know, make a video. You can learn foreign languages at the touch of your fingertips. You can learn instruments. You can learn art. It's kind of astounding sometimes for how for how terrible things are sometimes. It is also kind of astounding how far technology has allowed us to push knowledge and connectivity and bring together, you know, arts and sciences and so. I think I'm going to save the water for last. Seems like a good thing to finish the water part of a washing game for the last area. Seems apropos, if you will. Actually, can you put that over there? I should probably look at investing into a saxophone and stuff before I lose the ability to use my hands. Not that I know that I'm going to lose the ability to use my hands, it's just I have a feeling that my nervous system is probably not going to hold up to time. One of the many things that feels like an inevitability as you grow old. Wait, it says lily pad? I thought we got the lily pad. Wait, this one? I don't know. I don't know. We'll just keep cleaning. We'll figure out what we missed. Now, for as chaotic as this started, we actually did a pretty good job getting everything. I tell you what, this was just a psycho start. We just started cleaning random stuff at the beginning of this. Literally started with a lawn chair on the roof for some reason. Alright. Okay, so that's the grass floor. Unless there's a lily... Oh, there's a lily pad right here. Oh, this... Okay, I see. I was confused. I was like, what do you mean lily pad? There we go. Alright, so now all we have left is the water floor. So to finish the washing area with the water floor feels like a perfect idea. Let's start back here. I'm trying to figure out where would be a good place to... Alright. Water... So it's probably better to go like this. Should be almost done with this section of the water floor. Guessing it goes to where that sign is. Yep. I guess we'll start back here. Trying to figure out. It's never really clear, like, the best way to spray with this thing. Like, because you can go this way, right? And sometimes it feels like this clears off more, right? Like, if you look at that, like, it looks like that just did so much better, so much quicker. But it also leaves, it feels like it leaves behind more, like, little residue, right? See, like, it definitely, like, leaves behind more little residue. But it also does look like it cleans a heck of a lot quicker. And that's pretty effective. Pretty effective. Yeah. Job complete. Yeah. It seemed chaotic, but that actually looked pretty by the books. And I pulled it off, but even my chaos looks structured. Solar system exhibit. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Alright. Well, I think that is a fantastic place. Us to call it a stream.